Hey, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope and pray that everything's well with you and this video would be a blessing to your personal walk with the Lord. That's my prayer always. And the whole channel exists, by the way, to equip you, provide theological answers and perspectives. I don't pretend to know all the answers, but I hope to provide some perspective. And if you're a subscriber to this channel, welcome back. And if you're not, consider subscribing so I can bring more resources like this. Now, first of all, I want to wish Happy Mother's Day. Tomorrow is the Mother's Day, May 17th. And I hope that you bought the best gift and your wife or your mother, they would be excited. And I suppose. So today I want to talk about honoring father and mother. Last week I submitted a paper on the 10 Commandments. It was a strenuous act. It was a lot of intensive work and research that I had to do regarding the 10 Commandments. Then I want to present to all of you today the Fifth Commandment. I want to talk about the Fifth Commandment, which says in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, "Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." This command is in positive direction, whereas the previous commands, the earlier commands, were in the negative direction. By that, what I mean is in Hebrew language, they start with the negative particle lo. That means never, or it indicates prohibition. So these earlier commandments, again, they focus on covenant fidelity, emphasize the necessity to honoring God as the means of keeping his commandment, his covenant. You see, it says, honor your father and mother. And now these commandments earlier is about keeping the Lord first, keeping God in the front and the center of our lives. For the Israelites especially, they come from a polytheistic multitudes of gods, and now they are supposed to abandon all of those ideas or ideologies and focus on one true Yahweh and not put any other being before God himself. So from that kind of perspective, honoring God and be faithful to his covenant, now the focus shifts on honoring the father and the mother. You see, the reason for this focus is because father and mother, they represent God to their children. This is amazing. The status granted here to both father and mother indicates that God really values family structure. In a society that is collapsing into dishonoring or not caring about the relationship and not honoring father and mother as they ought to, this stands as a indictment against that kind of mentality. We are to honor our father and mother. God puts it right in the middle of these 10 Commandments, and he says you are to honor both father and mother. One thing, the roles of both father and mother are clearly affirmed in this commandment, that which challenges the common caricature of Israelite society as so thoroughly patriarchal that the role of women and mothers was diminished. On contrary, the text upholds their shared dignity, which is fascinating. When I find that out, I knew that Jesus upheld the status of women. I knew that, and it is clear in the Gospels and in the New Testament. But it starts in the beginning of the relationship with Yahweh. God puts the status of women and mothers at the front center. This is what John L. McKay in the Exodus commentary writes. Quote, "The status of father and mother had to be jointly acknowledged to preserve the dignity of the family and to promote the well-being of society. When societies fail to observe the need to promote family life, they sow the seeds of their own downfall." End quote. This is such a fascinating thing. It says that we are to put both mother and father at the front, and the family structure is so important that if we do not continue to uphold it, we are looking at downfall of our own society. And boy, are we there. In America, especially in Europe, now the family structures they're just collapsing. It's catastrophic. So we need to put the knowledge of God commanding the Israelite at the front and center of this Western society and Eastern society as well. Now let's go back to verse 12 again of Exodus 20. The word honor there in verse 12, that means kabad in Hebrew. So the verb kabad is how the commandment starts, which is a PL imperative from the word kabod, meaning to be heavy or to give weight to. Now, the PL imperative, PL verbal form, especially they generally intensify and energize the action of the verb. For example, kal is another verb, a verbal form in Hebrew, which is a simple active verbal form. For example, he broke something. But when it comes and it changes into PL, which in our word honor is changed, it means he's smashed. The simple word he broke can turn into he smashed or he shattered repeatedly. That's what it can turn into. The root kavod carries the idea of weight and or heaviness. Thus here, notice this. To honor is to treat the father and mother as weighty, significant, and not to be taken lightly. Such is the command. It starts with this kind of imperative, intensified, energized verb. This is how we are to honor our parents, our mother and father, is by giving that weighty reverence, weightiness in that. So the command, again, is not a passive respect. It's not superficial respect to say that, yes, I honor my parents, I honor my mother and father. I honor them. No, it's a deliberate and embodied honor. In the sense, kavod, which is to honor, calls one to give substantial care and regard to one's parents, to weigh them heavily. In one's action is to align with the order God has established so that one's days may be prolonged in the land. Such is the promise. It is associated in the commandment. You are to honor with heaviness, with weightiness, with reverence, like you honor God, because they represent God to you. You are to give them that honor. And if you do that, good things will follow. You'll be blessed in the land that you are about to endeavor in. So now think about this in our current cultural structure. Do we honor God and honor our parents in the same way? Do we use that imperative, that weightiness that PL form signifies? Do we really give them substantial worth? Do we assign that substantial honor to them? It's not superficial. Again, it is weightiness. And Jesus reaffirms this in the New Testament as well. Mark 7, chapter 7, verse 9 to 10, it says, "And he said to them, you have a fine way of rejecting the commandment of God in order to establish your tradition. For Moses said, honor your father and your mother." Here Jesus is rebuking Pharisees who used religious traditions to avoid caring for their parents financially and practically. He's just rebuking them. Haven't you heard what Moses commanded? What Moses heard from God? That you are to honor with weightiness, with kavod, that gloriness. You are to honor your parents in that sense. That's Jesus saying to these Pharisees. Again, Jesus explicitly repeats this commandment to the rich young ruler. He says, "What must I do to be saved?" And Jesus said, "You know the commandments. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother." Luke 18:20. Wow, that is so fascinating. Again, in Matthew 19:19, Jesus says, "Honor your father and mother," and "you shall love your neighbor as yourself." And by the way, that rich young ruler went away sad because he had a lot of wealth. Now, this does not stop with Jesus. Now, look at this. This continues with apostolic writings. Ephesians 6, 1 and 2, the Apostle Paul says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother." This is the commandment, Fifth Commandment, and which is found in Ephesians 6, 1, 2. Paul here joins obedience with honor together, that kabad, that intense nature of honor, reverence, weightiness. So we are to be very careful, very serious about this. God does not call us to just casually, nonchalantly honor our parents. It's a weighty respect and honor that we are to attribute to our parents because, again, they represent God to us. That's such an encouraging thing. And so God, I think, intentionally put this in the Fifth Commandment right in the middle because your life will be prolonged if you do that, it says. So That's such a wonderful thing. So next time you read the Ten Commandments, try to meditate on that word kavod. You can look up in Hebrew and you can try to do your own research, and you'll be very deeply encouraged by that. Now, final encouragement is, you see, in a society where parental authority, parental honor is being challenged, I think Christians must look back to this command and first practice honoring your parents yourself. You need to exemplify that. You need to show that honor. It's probably by listening to your parents, obeying them, and then seeking their advice, and then just saying, I want to honor you. How can I honor you, Mom? Tomorrow is, again, Mother's Day, May 17th. How can I honor you, Mother? How can I honor you, Father? How have I not honored you? And that doesn't mean that you blindly do whatever they say. There needs to be discernment, but you need to attribute, we all need to attribute the worth and reverence that is due to them, because this is what God calls us to do. And by no means I'm putting them above God or beside God. That's not the point. They are not gods, but they represent God when we're children. They to them we look up. So we need to listen to them. And when they say something that's not biblical, that compromises your values, then you can say that with honor. You don't have to be mocking them. You don't have to make fun of them. Even something very interesting, there's a temptation to make fun of them when they don't know the technology. Oh, you don't know this, Mom. You're so stupid, especially teenagers. I think we need to refrain from that. We cannot afford to make fun of our parents because God put them in our lives. And then second is teach our children to show that honor. They need to see that from our example, that we honor our parents. We put them on a high, valuable, precious position in our life. And then they need to see that. And they need to imitate that. So when we do that as Christians, we honor our parents and we will stand out in our community as people who love and who serve, who honor our parents, who respect the parental authority. And especially I come from eastern part of the world, Nepal, and we have a high respect and honor for our parents. We get to practice that, which is not similar to the United States that I live in currently. So we attribute high value there in Nepal, even though they are not Christians. We're not all Christians in Nepal, every Nepali, but they have that idea that the parents needs to be respected and honored, and we all need to be careful about doing that as well. So I hope this was encouraging to you. Next time you see a mother or a father, honor them, show them reverence, show them respect. Not a simple, casual, ambiguous kind of respect, but deep respect, reverence, that intense kind of respect that Hebrew actually promotes, Hebrew actually talks about. So this is all that I have today. Again, happy Mother's Day. I hope this was encouraging to you. God bless you. I will see you back again.